Hello, listeners. It's Sam.
And Lindsay.
And this is the Back to Backlog podcast.
Cue the theme song.
Yeah, what have you been playing in the interim since last time?
I have not played Doom Eternal. It's something I have not played. It's still installed. I got into Apex Legends with a friend that I reconnected with, who I gave a bike to.
Nice.
And then she took me out for lunch, and we were like, video games. So we've been playing Fortnite and Apex together, and that's been a lot of fun. Last week, I played Dead by Daylight with a bunch of friends. Like, we just did custom matches and just hunted each other, and it was pretty fun.
That's cool.
And then some Back 4 Blood with another friend. So a very, like, social gaming couple of weeks.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun. I really like Apex. It's been a lot of fun. I got my first win. Like, I think I'm, like, 20 hours into the game, and I got my first win a couple of days ago. It was pretty fun.
Nice.
Yeah, what have you been playing?
Yeah, well, I did finish up a little bit more .hack Link, and then I moved on and finished .hack Versus, which I'm hoping to talk about more in our fighting game episode. I played on my playdate. There's a game called Sasquatchers, which is like, it kind of plays like an Advance Wars, where like you're this crew of like cryptid hunting influencers, and you take your crew out in the van, and then you just like crawl across the map trying to get pictures of, you know, the skunk ape and Bigfoot, and the sort of final boss there is Mothman, who like messes with your photography equipment.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that.
It's an absolute riot. I'm really glad that I found like another game in the Playdate season that I really gelled with, so that was super cool. Yeah, I picked up Frogun, or Frogun. It's really cute, like N64 styled platformer. I haven't dived too deep into it though. I got wrapped up in a whole bunch of like Tomb Raider nostalgia. My brother sent me like this big retrospective series that they like went over like all 9 of the games prior to the reboot. Or the second reboot, I guess. So I played a little bit of those and stuff, and yeah, I played a little bit more of Returnal, which is super freaking cool. It's another one of the game that like really feels like it explains why you need to play it on PS5. They're like, yeah, here's all the crazy controller stuff, and it just it feels really cool. It's a creepy game for sure. And then I went back and I replayed Ridiculous Fishing. I talked about it last episode on the Indies, and I totally missed like one of the big important features of the game when I was talking about it. The fact that like when you get all the fish on the hook, you then throw them in the air and have to shoot them with guns. Like the ridiculous part of Ridiculous Fishing, I totally dropped the ball and didn't mention.
Oh, yeah, that's a turn.
It's a major feature.
That's a turn.
Yeah, I found you know, some APK on like a APK here or whatever to install it, since it's no longer available on the Play Store. And like I can see that like a couple things have totally bugged out, so like I can see why it's no longer available, but yeah, it's a really, really fun, silly game that you can beat in basically a few hours.
Nice.
Yeah. That's about it. That's a lot, but... Oh! And more importantly, because I've mentioned it a few times on this podcast, I have just, like, maybe 10 minutes ago, finished playing Fist, the sort of steampunky anthro rabbit Metroidvania. That was really cool.
Nice.
It felt like it took a lot longer than it did, because I played it in little spurts here and there on the deck.
Yep.
So it like Steam says I only played it for 10 hours, but I'm like, I've been playing this for like 3 months, because I haven't consistently sat down and played it, you know. So
Yeah,
that was a good win.
I just ordered a new dock for my Steam Deck, so I'm excited to try that because the adapter that I bought previously didn't work.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, I'm excited for you to have a docked setup.
yeah, me too. I'm excited. So
Cool. Yeah. So, what are we talking to the listeners about today, huh?
accessories required. So games that have peripherals, the good, the bad, the weird. Because there are some really strange ones out there.
Honestly, this is one of my favorite parts of gaming of all time. I love weird accessories. Like this
I do too.
gives me life. Like I hear so many gamers hear the word gimmick and they run for the hills, and I am running to the hills with my
I love a good gimmick.
Like my gold fishing pan. So sorry, I stopped you in your tracks with my gold miner analogy here. But yeah. So yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind for everybody is got to be the whole Toys to Life thing. Now, I have a couple amiibos, but I don't have Nintendo systems that like use amiibos, so you might be a little bit more qualified to talk about them than I.
Yeah, so I have Nintendo systems and amiibos. I didn't own a Wii U, which is when the amiibos came out, really what it was intended for. I do have a new 3DS, which does have the capability for amiibos, but you can do some things with them. I don't think I ever owned any of the games that were amiibo compatible for I
don't think it was a
3DS.
lot. I don't think it was a lot.
No, it wasn't that much.
I know
there was like a Kirby game, I think maybe Shovel Knight.
Definitely.
And some of the Mii games you could use amiibos in, like the Miitopia kind of games.
Okay, yep.
Stuff like that where it was like the Mii branded games. I don't remember what the functionality of it was, but I know you could use them.
And I know the original 3DS like could use amiibos, but you had to buy like a separate puck that connected to your 3DS, and then they
came out the same time the new 3DS did, so people could get the.
I
remember why it came out.
Yeah.
It was because of the Happy Home designer, the Animal Crossing Happy Home designer.
Oh.
So like the first one of the first new 3DSs had like the amiibo, I just forgot her name. It flew out of my skull.
Oh no.
I played so much Animal Crossing. It's like the main blonde dog.
Oh,
that's embarrassing.
Jeez.
Mabel.
Thank you.
So it came with like the Mabel amiibo and the game, and then the 3DS.
Nice.
If I remember correctly. And then you could also get, I think, a package with the game and just like the add-on. I don't even know how it connected because I just bought a new.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
a new unit.
I think I bought it for my sister, and then I didn't find out how it worked.
Yep.
But yeah, and I think amiibos are really cool because they've put amiibo functionality in like any game on the system can decide to support it. Like it's not like tied to one game.
Yeah, I think mostly it's just like big Nintendo titles. Like I think the most I ever used it was in Breath of the Wild. Because they released a handful of amiibos when that came out.
Yep.
And then like you could use any of the previous Legend of Zelda, and you got like stuff in game. Like if you used it enough, like you either got like cool armor. If you had the one with Ponyo, you got like specifically Ponyo the horse.
Yep.
And like, I mean, it was a good way to like, because the weapons break in that. So it was really good to have like the amiibo. So I if I needed a new weapon, I could just, pick up an amiibo.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing on all these different games, like Animal Crossing has like all the cards and stuff as well as the statues. Yep. And just all of the Shovel Knight amiibos are really cool. I really like those.
I like them because they're really like quality. Oh, Smash Brothers, that was the big one.
There we go. Yep.
Because you could like save your like information on the amiibo and like take it with you.
Oh, that's super cool. That
I think.
reminds me of like transferring your save file. It reminds me of transferring your Miis onto the Wiimotes.
Yeah, I never did that. The amiibo with the
Smash Bros. Like
yeah,
profiles.
but I remember that being like a selling point because when at the height of all of this, I was working at a video game store.
Yep.
Which was obviously many years ago now, but a lot of it's like ingrained in my memory.
Yeah.
But I mean, the price point of the amiibos is really cool because they're like $12. I think maybe the most expensive one I got was the gigantic Detective Pikachu.
Ooh.
The downside with them is it's Nintendo. Nintendo
Yes.
only knows how to make way too much of something or not nearly enough.
Yes.
So amiibos were going for like 3 times the price.
Oh,
Because
that's right.
they just weren't making them.
I forgot about all the scalping problems and.
Yeah, Nintendo has some really bad ones. I remember the collectors too weren't exactly, much more helpful. I sold a couple of amiibos, online through eBay, and part of it was my own just not knowing how to package things correctly. Part of it was you look at an amiibo package wrong and it dings. Like it would just break and be dented. But like it came to the guy and it had a couple of dents in it, and he was holding a $12, and I didn't sell it for much more over MSRP. Yeah, I think it was a little more valuable, so I think I undercut whatever the going price was online. But he was holding it with a white glove. And like asking for a partial refund. And I'm like, I don't want to argue with you're like an adult man holding this piece of plastic with a white glove. Like, you can have your refund, dude. Like, just take it.
Oh my God.
So it was really weird. Like, people would come in and like, be there like when the store opens to get them. And the thing is they're not always like, the way shipments work is they weren't always like on the floor when we the store opened. Like, we didn't usually get our shipments in until like in the morning.
Right.
If it was like a release day and, they would be out that Friday, because that's when Nintendo does their releases. But otherwise, like, you just had to hope you got lucky.
Yeah.
So it was weird. It was very weird. But I really like them. I have like a ton of them.
Yeah, they're really pretty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're good little collectibles.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I really like. I especially like because it's Nintendo that like they baked it into the hardware of the systems, right?
Yeah.
So I know that like I don't know if they were first or if Skylanders was first. I feel like Skylanders was first.
I think Skylanders was first.
And then like had the sort of USB portal device that you plugged into your console. Just an NFC reader, right? They just made it really pretty and like have like glowy LEDs, so it looked.
They were very cool.
Yeah. The Disney Infinity one is kind of a shame just because it was an MMO, which is like defunct now, right? So there's no game to play anymore. I think Skylanders was offline or had an offline mode or something, but like Disney Infinity was definitely online, which is, I don't know, online games for kids is a whole thing.
That's dangerous, like, especially when your parents are buying these Disney things for their kids and maybe don't understand what's happening.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like Disney and like things like Club Penguin and stuff, they just had, you just couldn't do as many, you couldn't really chat with people, right? That was the whole, like, make it friendly, make it safe.
Club Penguin still found ways to be a problem.
Okay, yes, but that was also on the computer, so fair enough.
Oh
my gosh. So I don't know. The Disney Infinity ones, I don't know if I like the art style of the figurines.
The only one I own is the Jack Skellington one because he looks just like he does because of the style.
Yep.
He looks just like he's supposed to look. But nice. I didn't love how they looked.
Yeah, they
looked like stretched out.
They felt like a knockoff Pixar.
Even though Pixar is part of
Even
Disney.
Though they own Pixar, yes. But it felt like a direct to VHS 3D animation. Like, I don't know. It was odd. I think the one I liked most, obviously, and I think I've talked about this earlier on the other was Lego Dimensions. Just because like you get Legos,
Yep.
and like when you're playing, you build it as like part of the storyline. It's like part of the game. Like the instructions are on the screen. So like, they're like, hey, you've got the Sonic pack. Go ahead and put Sonic together. Here's the instructions. You're like, okay, boop boop boop. You put them on there, and then it's like you get to play the Sonic level, and then you get to a point where like, hey, you need to put together the biplane now, and here's instructions on how to get to the biplane put together. And like some things, like I think the Batmobile had like multiple modes that it could be in, so you could like rebuild that model into the other things, because they're just Legos, right? And there's just like a little NFC block at the bottom, like a little round base that has the tag in it that you plug, that you build on top of. I just really like that, and I love how they just got kind of like a Disney Infinity, but less specific to Disney. They got all those IPs.
I think the Lego one was definitely the most unique, and of them, probably the one I would have gotten into. I never bought Skylanders for myself. I had a younger cousin who was really into it at the time.
I think it's the coolest thing.
But they did get a little bit like, I'm all for a gimmick, but Skylanders I think really went overboard, because every year it would just be
more and more and
more. Like another thing. It wasn't just like more figures. It was like, well, now you can use these little crystal things to do something, and
I see.
It was just another added layer, and I don't know if like the previous ones would work in the newer versions, or if it was just the new one, so like the parents had to buy whatever the newest thing was.
That
I don't know. That I don't know how it worked, but
yeah, I know with the Lego one, it was like you always got a new character, and then sometimes those packs came depending on like the type of pack, because they had like the cheap packs that just had a character, the little bit more packs that had like a character and a vehicle or two characters, and they had the more expensive ones that was like, here's a few different things and a level. And you like knew what you were getting going in. It was like super easy to like tell on the shelf what it was. And there's even more expensive ones that like had like a replacement for the portal. Like you could build a different version of the portal.
Yep.
On top of the base.
I think Lego and Disney, I think, were easy to understand. Skylanders, no. No.
I think as much as I like the amiibos and the fact that they're like so multi-purpose, I think that they are sort of the least clear marketing wise.
Yeah.
Like you're like,
oh yeah, for sure.
What games can I use this with? I have no, like if I pick up an amiibo, I have no idea. Like I think Shovel Knight can be used with Smash Brothers and Shovel Knight, but I don't know. Like you'd have to look it up on a wiki. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
So, yeah. But I think, I don't know, some of my original experience with accessories and getting them home was with buying some dance mats. So I could play DDR at home, which was the coolest thing.
I loved DDR.
Oh my gosh. I had, in high school, I had a lot of friends who were just like super into like anime and DDR and all that, right? And we had like one arcade that opened up when I was like 12. The Space Center. And they did have one. They did have one machine, but like, man, playing it on the PS2, that powerhouse of a little machine. I think my favorites of the ones we got were DDR Max 2 and Supernova. I just think they had the best soundtracks overall. They had a lot of like funky stuff mixed in with some Japanese stuff, mixed in with like a bunch of like Eurobeat, like Eurotrash type stuff, like really fun things like, Captain Jack. Like those were really, really cool. They're still making arcade machines, but they're all just like anime intro songs. Like they don't have the variety that the sort of PS2 era DDRs had. And
I feel like licensing for those things was also probably easier in the PS2 era.
Yeah, probably. Everyone knows what they're knows what they're worth and sort of stuff now. Yeah, it's crazy. They haven't come out with a DDR since the single DDR game on the PS3, but the PS2, PS1 to some extent, but the PS2 era definitely had like.
There was one for Wii too.
Yep. Yeah, well, there was a lot of crossover. I think it's funny. The Wii kind of gave the PS2 an extended tail end, because like you could make your high def games on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, and then you could like make your Wii game, and it's like, well, if we're already making a Wii game, let's make a PS2 game as well, because like half the world doesn't have a PS3 yet because they're expensive.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, definitely there was a bunch on the GameCube even had like a Mario one.
Yeah, I think I've seen them.
Which is fun. And I played a lot of those PS2 ones, and then I played a lot of Stepmania.
That one I've never heard of.
Yes, so Stepmania is an open source DDR for the computer, and it has been around for a long time. And like, it's still going strong. They're still making new versions of Stepmania, and you can get the song packs from every DDR and online to play on Stepmania. So you can just play all of the DDR songs now on there, and there's a whole bunch of like community songs. Like, people are making songs all the time for it. And I have a good buddy who, his Twitch channel is Nowhere Dance Club. I will shout him out because it's a really fun time. I love his community he's got up there. They're all like, his like Twitch chat has like a thing for people to vote on what song he does next. It's really, really cool. And it's basically how he got like super fit in the past few years.
Nice. Yeah, that's actually how a number of people I know did too.
Yeah, so Stepmania is amazing, and it's basically sort of how the DDR community has continued onward since Konami basically doesn't do a lot with it anymore.
Nope.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, well, I think it's fantastic. Been pretty much replaced by the next one, which is the Just Dance games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't play a ton of these, but like, it was the Wii that started this, though, right? Like, it came out on everything.
Controls. They also had them for when Xbox 360 and PS3 came out. Yeah, and when PS3 came out with the Move.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they had it. I mean, I think the Wii had the best motion. I know the Wii had the best motion control out of the three.
I don't know. I really liked the PS Move, to be fair, and because like the Wii still had to have like the Wii games that had the extra motion stuff, that you, like the Motion Plus that you slapped onto the bottom of the controller. I know they eventually baked them into new controllers, but like the first Wiimotes that didn't have the extra Motion Plus were like, you know, they're good, but not as good as they could have been. I don't know. There's pluses and minuses. You're totally not wrong. Like, if the camera lost the Move controller, like, it just would lose its mind.
Yeah.
But
I like the Just Dance games. I mean, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I do prefer DDR because I like the music better. Like, I'm not huge, like, I don't really like pop music all that much. I hate country. So it's just a lot of that like poppy stuff.
Yeah, Just Dance is extraordinarily top 40.
Yeah, and that's like not my favorite thing. But in terms of like getting up and being able to like move your body a little bit, I did play some Just Dance on the Switch through the pandemic. Cool. I own a couple of them.
Yeah,
there was also with that like the other thing I think Just Dance did too is kind of started that like, I don't know if they started it or they piggybacked off of that like exercise craze.
Yeah.
That the Wii
really encouraged.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, and I there was a Just Dance sort of clone, like somebody else made a game just because it was Everybody Dance. I thought that one had the most fun music to it, but it was very much the same formula. And I do really appreciate the like. So DDR is wonderful, but like, it's very intense because you are jumping around and using your legs. And Just Dance is more like, you walk around and stuff, but you're definitely using your arms more often and like doing like poses, which definitely got
it's not
exhausting.
As active, but it's still better than nothing.
Oh, no, it definitely got exhausting for sure. Like, it's not nothing. I do think the other thing is that like in DDR, what really hurts you is when you mess up. Like if I'm playing and I'm doing well, I'm great. The moment I start flubbing, then like you're starting to like you second guess, or you have to like you quickly move your legs, and for some reason like that's when it starts to like physically hurt, is when like you're doing weird things to overcorrect. Whereas I think in Just Dance, like if you mess up, you just like you stop for a bit and you're like, all right, shake it off, and then you start again. So it's a little bit like gentler recovery from failure, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's me.
Yeah, but I mean, the Wii really capitalized on that motion control, like exercise stuff. They had like yoga games, boxing games. The Wii Fit.
I bought like a whole like what was it, EA Active? Like it was basically just like a workout training.
Yeah, thing. I remember that.
I was you had like to strap sensors onto your legs and stuff. That was crazy.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. They came out. They haven't really continued that on to the Switch. They did do one was like Ring Fit Adventure, and I did buy it.
That looks wicked cool.
It is really cool, but the way I have my Switch set up, the motion controls like aren't like I have to move it up.
Oh,
and I just don't have the space. Like you need a little more space than where my TV is.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So I'd have to like move a bunch of stuff. So I haven't really used it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so speaking of the Wii, you told me about something that was absolutely horrifying.
So I love me the Cooking Mama games, but they came out with a bunch of like weird offshoots. Some of them are better than others, like Gardening Mama was pretty good, but they came out with one called Babysitting Mama where it was this like stuffed doll with like fabric eyes and like a diaper that could come off for whatever fucking reason. I don't know if we're allowed to swear here.
Let's go for it.
Okay. Whatever reason, don't know why. And you shoved the Wiimote into its back.
If there was a reason to swear, it's this thing.
Cradled it and like cooed it and played it with it. Yeah, it was. I never played it.
Okay.
But I've watched other people play it because there's like a rediscovery of it on the internet, like in the pandemic. So I saw like some streamers like Call Me Kevin like tracked down a copy and played it, and it was just so uncomfortable.
Okay, so listeners, here's a little inside baseball here. In our notes, she wrote creepy baby game. And I was like,
wrote that.
I think you told me about it and I wrote the note down, but I didn't remember like what game it was. So I went to go look. Like, I'm pretty sure it was a Wii game. So I'm like, all right, creepy baby game for the Wii. And Babysitting Mama was not the one I found. I found another one. It was like called Baby and Me. And I'm not 100% sure if the doll that was like reported to come out for that game actually did. And we only found like European copies of it on like Google image stuff. So
but missing the baby.
But like it just I just flashed back to that Phineas and Ferb Doofenshmirtz meme where he's like, if I had a nickel for every time I'd have 2 nickels, but it's weird that it happened twice. Like huge flashback.
I don't know why those exist.
It's ridiculous.
I just don't know.
We had people shoving that stupid Wiimote into so many plastic accessories. It was ridiculous, and I absolutely loved it. And I did own a couple things, but the more useful one was definitely the like light gun, the guns that you could slide the Wiimote into, because that really did actually change the game and make it feel really good. Like you had a real plastic trigger that would push the B button for you.
Well, they had some different ones too, because they had the longer zapper. They had like 2 small like pistol ones.
Yeah, I think the zapper was like the 2-handed one was that's the zapper, right? Never as useful as I was hoping it would be, and it was really not that comfortable. It was a very awkward thing. I did really like just the single pistol ones. I played a bunch of House of the Dead Overkill on that.
Yeah.
Like a ton. That was the silliest game. And it was really cool just to like... Because light gun games hadn't... Like, they were available for things like the PS2 and stuff, but like you had to like hook them up like halfway between your like video input. Like you had to plug the yellow cable into it and then it into the TV. So like I never owned that, and it was always more expensive. So I only played things like Time Crisis like at the arcade. It's one of my favorite, like Time Crisis, one of my favorite arcade games ever. Like all of them, they're so good. So like the Wii actually, like, yeah, it wasn't as accurate because it was all relative, like mouse style, instead of like the absolute pointing that you'd get in the arcade with like a CRT. But it didn't matter. It was at home. It was really cool. Like I didn't care that it drifted. Whatever. You just shake the Wiimote and it's fine. Like you're shooting zombies. One of the best times. And then when I got the PlayStation Move controllers, like the best thing that system did was just it had HD versions of all of those Wii shooters. So like they had a package. So they had Dead Space Extraction, right? So Dead Space, but a rail shooter, and it's super good.
Nice.
Resident Evil Chronicles and Resident Evil. It was like Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles and Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles. And I think that those got like remastered into like a single package, or something like that. But it was basically like scenes from Resident Evils like 2 and 3, but like as a rail shooter, and it's super fun. I had a ton of fun with those. But I will say my favorite one is they packaged up Time Crisis 5, Rising Storm, I think, with Time Crisis 4, and in that package they also had a game called Dead Storm Pirates. Now, I love Time Crisis, but on that collection, Dead Storm Pirates is absolutely the GOAT. Like, it is so funny. You are these, like, Korean pirates with shiny golden guns that shoot lasers. And you're fighting, like, ghost skeletons and stuff. And, like, giant crabs. It feels like a roller coaster ride. Like, it really feels like an amusement park attraction. In the best freaking way. Dead Storm Pirates is so good.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one before.
Oh my gosh. I will have to introduce you to Dead Storm Pirates one of these days.
I remember that collection for the PS3, but I never owned the Move for the 3 or the 4.
Yeah,
I just never.
With the PS4, the Move controllers are really only used for VR, and like they weren't designed for VR. They work okay, but they are missing analog sticks. So like, I love the Move controllers on the PS3, but they are like the worst VR controllers ever. And it's cool that they were able to reuse existing stuff or whatever to make it cheaper for them. But like, I'm glad PSVR 2 is doing something new. Although, speaking of PSVR, the last shooting game I wanted to mention is called Farpoint. So, and I have this gun. So there was a special two-handed gun that came out for the PSVR that has like a Move controller bubble in the front, and it has like a bunch of like triggers and 2 analog sticks and a ton of buttons, and it's just this like rectangle futuristic gun looking thing. And it's used in like all of like maybe 3 games. No, probably more like 8 games, but that's still not enough to justify the price like they were charging for it. However, it is an awesome gun controller, and it works really well in VR. I played it with like Crisis Brigade and one of the redneck wave shooters, but the game that it actually like shipped with, that it works best with, is a game called Farpoint. It's this really cool sci-fi shooter for the PSVR that's like just really cool. It's just a really chill VR shooter game, like with this mysterious, creepy backstory, which I wicked loved. But like what made that game was the fact that it had this ridiculous VR like two-handed gun controller. So that is absolutely insane and silly.
I think there's just a rabbit hole for like weird plastic controllers that Nintendo is like, we'll use this. Like I vaguely remember like for a hunting game, like a hunting rifle like, what was that? Like Cabela's? Was that the that was the
yes. Yeah. The big buck hunt or whatever. Those are always.
They did a couple of others too. They did like buck hunt, like there's like some safari hunting ones.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why I know this. I didn't play any of them.
They were always there on the shelf, like always.
They were always there on the shelf, usually new with the thing because nobody wanted them. I remember fishing poles for like the fishing games.
Mm-hmm.
And just like so many weird, like I don't even think I could find all of them, and because most of them were just like for maybe 1 or 2 games. Like there weren't that many fishing games.
Yeah,
for
I mean
the
that's the big problem. I love a lot of these accessories, but you're totally on point there. Like so many of these are for like 1 or 2 games, like the dance mats, like like bought like a super expensive like beautiful metal dance mat, and it's just for DDR. It's not like I'm gonna
I
be
feel
playing,
better
like...
about buying a dance mat for just DDR than I do like a little plastic, like...
I guess technically you could hook up a dance mat to your computer and get it to work with Crypt of the Necrodancer. I bet you several people have already done that. I'm
sure people have done that.
But yeah, and like I did eventually get a Dreamcast fishing rod. And I actually kind of like Sega bass fishing. It's kind of neat. But like the silly thing that people tend to do with it is because it technically has motion controls, like you can use it with like Soul Calibur and like you shake it to like pull off a move. And then you can reel in, like it's silly. You can technically use the motion controls and stuff to like swing your sword as Siegfried or whatever. It's funny.
So weird.
So, and I guess the plastic toys that were most prevalent absolutely everywhere, all throughout that 6th and 7th gen, is the plastic bands. All the instruments.
These are definitely the ones I have the most like experience with, because I played, like this is what we played at parties in college a lot of the time.
Oh my gosh, like from high school onward, like yeah, and college too, like so much. I guess it was more Guitar Hero earlier on, and it was more Rock Band later on.
I remember getting a copy of Guitar Hero 3 for my birthday. I think it was my senior year of college, or high school, sorry, when that came out. Maybe my junior year. But I remember playing it like anytime we'd go over to a friend's house. Like that's what we did. We played Guitar Hero.
Yeah, it was a super chill time. Like, hey, you want to play a song? Yeah, sure. Load up Trogdor.
Well, and I think the cool thing about it too is like it had such an interesting range of music.
It did.
Things that like, especially like I know the first 2 games don't have a lot of like actual, like they didn't get the licensing for the actual artists until 3. But like 1 and 2, like there was a Butthole Surfer song on, I think it was Rock Band 1. Which was really weird. So I think it just like a lot of people like were exposed to music that they might not have known existed otherwise.
Yeah, I will forever be amused that Guitar Hero 2 had like the Trogdor song as an unlockable, like Strong Bad Trogdor. Oh, it's just so funny. And I will say, like, so we played a bunch of Guitar Hero, and you remember how I was saying Stepmania was like the open source computer version of DDR that you could like import a bunch of songs. They did the same thing for Guitar Hero, and it's called Frets on Fire.
Oh, that's cool.
And like, so I think the game shipped with like a script that like if you put in the first few Guitar Hero games, you could like run the script with the disc in your DVD drive, and like it would take all the songs and rip them into Frets on Fire formats, so you could just play all of them. And what you do is you can figure out a way to get the guitar working, but by default you're supposed to pick up the keyboard and put like F1, 2, 3, F5 on your left hand, and the enter key, like your thumb on the enter key, like holding your keyboard like a guitar.
I hate that.
And it works really well though. It was really silly.
I hate it.
And
that's the exact opposite of them making, I forgot what the name of the game is, but it was like it came with the game and like a cord for you to plug like an actual guitar into either your computer or your it came out with console versions too. That's like the exact opposite of that.
The other thing that was really funny about Guitar Hero is they came out with the handheld versions for the DS, and I have it. It's the Guitar Hero on tour, and
Yep.
there's like another one, but it's like on tour something something. And like yeah, you plug in the frets controller like into the GBA port, and it's got like a hand strap, so you can like have it on your left hand, and then you use I think they shipped with like little guitar pick styluses, because
They
like
did.
because like the screen is just used to strum, and it was really cool. I really liked like you hold it like a book. I really liked that a lot.
Yeah, it was interesting. I
It's
borrowed
also
a
like
version
it's
and
also like
I couldn't get into it, but it's a neat idea.
yeah, I mean it's kind of dumb because most of us played Guitar Hero socially. So like having
Yeah.
it like as a book, like I'm just playing by myself. Like it's kind of missing the point of Guitar Hero. Where
Yeah.
I feel like going in the other direction where they came out with Rock Band, like that is understanding the appeal of Guitar Hero, going, okay, let's expand that to like the drums, which I loved the drums,
Yeah.
and the singing. And I didn't love the singing because you had to match like the volume and pitch, and like you'd watch the little like bar go
But
up
you could
and
still
down.
be off key, and as long as you were matching. Yeah.
It was weird to like get a good score. Like you couldn't just sing and have fun, but there was no like, I don't know, there's no way to like plastic controller that. It was just a real microphone and some very
It was
like
the same type of mic that they used for like the karaoke hero. That
SingStar.
wasn't what it was called, but like the SingStar karaoke game.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was
Same
basically
concept.
SingStar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have fun with the singing part of that for sure.
I got delegated to singing quite a bit because I can sing, and once people found that out, they're just like, "Here you go," and like, it wasn't that bad, but like I also at that point had been singing in chorus and stuff for many years,
right?
So yeah, but I liked the drums too. They actually came out with a version. It was expensive, but it was like you could use it as like a real electronic drum set too, like outside of the game.
Cool. Yeah. So I will say, I liked all the themed rock bands too. Like, so I didn't like
the Aerosmith one.
I originally got my Wii. So I didn't have a PS3 or a 360 or anything. I bought the Wii as my 7th gen console in college because of Rock Band Beatles. Like I got the Rock Band
that
Beatles
one was really good
bundle. It was really good. They did an amazing job with all the theming and like the menu hyped you up. Like
yeah,
it was really really good.
I also just like the Beatles more than I like Aerosmith.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
that's totally fair.
They have that offshoot too, Band Hero, which I never played, but you could use all of the peripherals I think from Rock Band with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I guess the last plastic musician game, I really liked DJ Hero.
I never played it. I never owned it.
I thought it was a really fun concept.
It's a cool idea.
And I played both of them. So the first DJ Hero is basically like they partnered with Daft Punk. Like it is Daft Punk songs all over, and like tons of other artists, of course. But like the whole thing was like you'd have song A and song B, and like okay, I'm gonna play it with these mixed and then those mixed, and like you would play all the different mixings of a couple different songs, and so like you'd have 3 tracks, and one track would be like song A, and the other track would be song B, and you have a crossfader, and you're like crossfading between them when it makes sense, and you've got like the buttons on the scratching like on the disc, like the sort of fake vinyl record, and like yeah, you had the 3 buttons, and you had to like push the buttons, but like sometimes like no, you have to scratch, so you push the button, you hold down the button, and instead of like in Guitar Hero you like strum and you hold down the button, this you're like tapping the buttons, that's you're strumming more. But then, like, sometimes you have to scratch. So you hold the button and you go back and forth. Wiki. And, like, even with the crossfading, sometimes they'd make you do the, like, quick tap. So, like, do. Like, it just kind of... It was really, really interesting, really inventive. I thought it was wicked cool. And I liked both of them. Those things, like, went to bargain really quickly, though. I will say, I'm kind of sad.
Yeah, they did.
Because, like, they were when people were getting kind of sick of Rock Band. Like, oh, here's another plastic thing to buy. Like, people got fatigued.
You also couldn't do it like it wasn't like a party thing. You know, I think for Rock
Yeah.
Band it was really easy to get a bunch of people together and, you know, play for a couple of hours.
Well, that was
especially in college, like you break out the Rock Band stuff, you have a couple of drinks and you play.
No, totally. Like, you could play 2 people, and I think maybe in the second game you could play with a microphone too, maybe. I don't remember. But people weren't willing to play it, for sure. People were not willing to play a multiplayer, and like it was also just like it was electronic and rap, and like I was all about all of the songs, but like I know a lot of people I was friends with were not like on board with all of the songs for sure. Like I was like, oh, okay, this is the wrong crowd for all of these songs.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas Rock Band was a lot easier. It's a lot of like, even if you don't like some of the newer stuff, there's always like dad rock in
in
I
think that's the thing that made Rock Band really appealing, because I also like I listen to rock and metal primarily.
Yeah.
And especially like that age in my early 20s, like I was all about like, you know, the downloadable songs, because you could download Paramore, Avenged Sevenfold, like all I think there was like maybe a Bullet for My Valentine song. So like that metalcore, Day to Remember, that was another one I remember buying and playing a bunch of. So it was all like music that was very relevant to my taste. Muse.
Yeah.
Oh no, Muse was Rock Band 3. Oh, sorry, Guitar Hero 3.
Yeah, and DJ Hero was like you were playing like Around the World by Daft Punk's, and then you'd be mixing in like Fix Up Look Sharp, or like you'd be switching over to like American Boy. Like I don't know, there was some really, really good songs, but it was a very completely different genre, and like, you weren't going to have people who were really into one hopping over to the other. Like, and I get that that happens, but I dug it for the fact that it was so inventive, and they never made you use your pinky, and I will never forgive Guitar Hero for trying to make me use my pinky.
Oh my
I will
God.
Never go to hard mode. How dare you?
No, I couldn't either.
And then you want me to move my hand? You want me to move that hand? I cannot, sir. This is why I don't play real instruments.
On hard. I have really small hands, so I had a really hard time with some of those. And that was a downside. I couldn't play the hardest songs on hard, but I could play like the majority of them on hard.
Yeah.
The drums I had a slight problem with, because I actually play the drums. So what I heard in the song and what they wanted, I just hit my microphone, and what they wanted you to play.
It was just so extra simplified from what you knew was actually happening.
Well, and sometimes they would like flip. So I would hear like a low tom, and they would want you to hit one of the other ones, and it's like that's not what I'm hearing though.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I kind of screwed that up a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, so
good times.
I want to jump to one before the Wii. Oops. Because I absolutely loved, and you're gonna laugh, I loved the DK bongos.
I want them so bad. Like I saw them years ago, and I just never picked them up. And the game looks so stinking fun.
So I never played the actual, like, I know that there's the drum games that are popular in Japan. They got the cute little
taiko drums.
Thank you.
Those are good.
And they have the little like cute drum with the face on it. And I feel like the DK bongos, they have the 2 different rhythm games that kind of feel a bit like that. Mm-hmm. But the reason I got the DK bongos was for the platformer Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Like you tap the right drum, and he's like, it builds up momentum for him going to the right, and you can I think it was clapping to make like bananas come to you, and like you hit both bongos to make him jump. It's hilarious. And like the game's designed around the fact that like, yeah, we know we're making you physically do this. We're not going to make you like, this isn't going to be Shovel Knight or Hollow Knight levels of precision here. Like, this is a silly fun time. Like, have a laugh. You're collecting bananas by smacking drums. Like, it was a riot. I absolutely love the DK bongos for the GameCube. Super silly.
I almost picked them up on many occasions. I nearly picked them, but I never did, because at the time where I found out about it, like the GameCube was already pretty much phased out.
Yeah.
The Wii was on its like last leg ish. Like the Wii U hadn't come out yet, but it was like it had been announced.
Mm-hmm.
So I never got it, but yeah, I love the idea, and I love bongos. Like I said, I play the drums, and like the bongos are just so fun to play actually.
Oh,
so I
nice.
love that there's a game like themed on them.
Yay. Yeah, they're super cool. They're super, super cool. So yeah.
Yeah.
And
The taiko drum games are definitely more, but you also don't need for the newer versions, you don't need the drum to play the taiko games.
oh, you can just like use the controller.
The motion controls, yeah, and it feels pretty
motion
similar.
Controls. That's actually kind of cool. So it's not just tapping the A button; you're actually swinging.
I think so. I purchased it for the Switch, and I haven't played it yet, but it was under the impression that it was motion control.
Oh, that's cool.
I might eat my words, but I'm pretty sure it is. I don't know why it wouldn't be.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I actually don't know, because you can get like a little Switch drum for it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I saw somebody recently talking about like the different drums you can get for it. Like you can get like a $30 drum, or an $80 drum, or a $200 drum. Like,
I think they're
the size of a real drum.
Oh, geez, yeah. I don't think. I guess
but they must be optional.
About it, the plastic drums for that do have like little drumsticks that you use for them. So maybe it's not motion control. That would be really stupid of them, though. Like, yeah, especially like the flourish of the taiko drums. Like when the more than the actual playing them, it's like the art of making it like a performance. Like it's very performative. So not taking advantage of those motion controls for that very specific theme does seem kind of silly. But I'll double check on that. Yeah. Maybe leave an editor's note, because I actually don't know now that I think about it.
Yeah, so the last accessory required is kind of not something you hold in your hands, but it is the camera. And, I put this under a section here called augmented reality, because really, I mean, that's what it is. It's the camera is being used to feed some software to go and figure out what the heck is actually happening, where your hands are, et cetera, et cetera. So I have heard that people really loved I think it was called Face Raiders. Like, this is some software that was preloaded on the 3DS. Yeah, I mean, because it's free, it comes with the system, and it's there to help you like play around with the camera feature, right? So I don't know much about that, I'm gonna be honest, but like I know people would be remiss if I did not talk about Face Raiders, because it's pretty beloved by anyone who like grew up as a kid with a 3DS, for sure. But I think the one that I grew up with when we first had our PS2 was the iToy. The little like PS2 with an eyeball like camera that you put on your TV. And I think we got it in a package with iToy Play, which was just like a bunch of mini games. Like most of the mini games were either keep ups, like like there was a soccer game, like you had to keep the ball up, or they were like whack-a-mole type games. So there was one where you had to like smack some like ghosts and stuff in a graveyard, but the more fun one was it was like a kung fu one where you had to smack ninjas on the sides of the screen. So like ninjas would come along to the side of the screen, and if you didn't whack them in time, they would like jump across and kick you in the face, sort of thing. And I always remember these games because there was one mini game where you had to wave your hands in sort of, wax on, wax off motions to like wash the window. Like, so the screen would fill with bubbles and you'd have to wipe the bubbles away from the screen. And the whole time it would be playing this old timey song, like when I'm cleaning windows. It was just super catchy. So I really liked the iToy. And I know they came out with a few other games for it. I think that Sega came out with some sort of iToy game, which I'm only curious because there's like a Nights into Dreams flying mini game, but I never honestly got into those. So, and then on the PS3, the PS3 had an iToy, which you needed when you had like the Move controllers, right? But they came out with this augmented reality book. I forget what it was, the Wonder Book. You probably saw a whole bunch of the like Harry Potter games that had the Wonder Book. So there was one that was like potion making and one that was like spell casting.
Nope, I don't think I ever saw those.
Oh, they were usually like the top shelf because they had a big box, right? Because they always came with the book. So it's this big like squishy book with like a few pages, and like the pages themselves had like, I forget what you call them. They're not QR codes. They look a little QR code-ish, but they're more just sort of visual markers so that like the sort of like visual learning software knows what page you're on. It's just a nice indicator.
I think I have any memory of that.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so the best thing for this, because like I bought this book and I think I might have like one of the Harry Potter things that came with it, but I never bothered to start it because it's definitely like a kid's thing. Not that this next game isn't a kid's game, but there was a digital only game for this book called Diggs Nightcrawler. Let me tell you, Diggs Nightcrawler is amazing. It is this adorable film noir murder mystery. Like it's like a pop-up book. So you've got like, so Diggs, the eponymous Diggs, is a hard-boiled detective like worm. Like so he's just like crawling, or like caterpillar or something. He's like crawling along in this like trench coat and little fedora, right? And you have to like there's like 3 chapters, and at least the first chapter you have to like solve the murder of Humpty Dumpty. But the cool thing is that like you have this cute little so you open the book up, right? And it's showing, the game shows you a picture of you in the room, like the camera view, and the book. Except where the book is, it draws the 3D diorama of the world. So like you start off and you're in the hallway of like this detective office, and he's like, come on in. And so you have to turn the book around, and when you turn it around, the scene, you see the other side of the scene, and it's the inside of his office. And you do all these little things, like it knows where your hands are, so he's like, answer the phone or whatever, so you have to like smack the phone. But like like there'll be things where like there's a lamp on a rope on like one page, and you need to like lift the page up to make the lamp swing over to something on the right side of the scene, to like, so that like Diggs can be like, oh hey, here's a clue, a piece of Humpty Dumpty's shell. It's just really cute and it's really cool, and I just really dig it. It's like the only time I've seen some sort of augmented reality thing that was like sold to people really just be something tactile and interesting, you know, because most of the time people, when you make an AR thing like a Pokemon Go, if you turn the camera on at all, right, it's just kind of like taking a virtual thing and putting it into a tactile world, but you don't get to touch anything, you don't get to interact with anything. Whereas with this, like, you're holding the book, like you move the whole world around, you have this little diorama world you get to physically touch, which is neat. I don't know, I think it's wicked cool. So that's probably my favorite augmented reality thing that I've seen, and it's been, I don't know, 10-15 years since then. So yeah, I
never got into any of those.
That's
not a one.
Totally fair. They were in, you know, if somebody had asked me at the time if these things were worth it, I probably would have said no, because you had to buy this camera just for like these 3 games, but they were really, really neat games. So I don't know, maybe I would have changed my mind, but I can see why people avoided it. They're like, I don't want to buy a silly camera.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was too. I didn't want to buy the camera.
Yeah, exactly.
I did have an extra thought about another Nintendo.
Oh, please.
The Pokewalker that came out with the
yes,
the Pokemon games.
That's totally fair. Yeah,
for Heart Silver and
Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
Heart Gold, Soul. Yeah.
And I think
I still have my original one.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this on the VPET episode. Yeah. But I will say you're totally right. Like the fact that it was the little the step counter.
But what made me think of it is for Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, they came out with like a tiny little Pokeball.
That's right.
So, which I of course bought. It was I don't know if I would recommend it because it was like $50 or something ridiculous.
But it's like a motion controller where you can.
Yeah, like I had to have it. There's no way I couldn't not buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never played with it, but I heard it makes the Let's Go games feel like
it makes them a
Pokemon
lot more bearable.
Go.
I don't think I could play it without that.
Gotcha.
I don't really like them.
Okay.
So like the Pokeball definitely made it a lot more fun.
Ah, that's wicked cool.
Yeah,
I have been curious about that, but like since I'm not a Switch owner, like I have no, like I'd have to invest so much just to get to that point, which is the same for almost all of these, accessories required things, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of very strange accessories. Like I don't know. A couple years ago I invested in a light gun called the Sinden light gun, which promises to make like old school super accurate CRT style like light gun games work on new screens. And the way it does it is you have to like you either have to play the games on like your computer with an emulator or on a TV with some sort of video box that can add the overlay. So you add a white box to the edges of the screen, and it basically like reads the screen and figures out where your gun is pointed based on that square. So it makes a lot of those old games work, which is interesting. There's a lot of setup for it though. It's like super complicated. It's for like people who are willing to put in a ridiculous amount of time to play, a dozen games.
Not me.
Which is fair. Totally
Not
fair.
Me.
I did get it to work with my PS2, but I had to set up a Raspberry Pi, an Arduino, and the RetroTink 5X. And then I could plug it into a real PS2, and it thinks it's a GunCon, and I can play Time Crisis, and it thinks I have a GunCon plugged in, which is cool, but so much more work than most people are willing to go through.
Yeah, no.
So, yeah, totally fair. Totally fair. I think that's plenty of crazy accessories for y'all listeners. So, Lindsay, what do you think you're going to be getting up to game-wise until the next?
Maybe Doom. Maybe Doom this time.
Maybe Doom this time.
Maybe Doom. Maybe this is the week or two for it. I don't have any solid gaming plans.
Yeah, fair enough.
We'll probably try to grab something from the backlog, and then I will continue to play socially with my friends with the games I talked about earlier. So
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think now that I finally finished Fist, I'm going to be looking into sort of the other things that have been piling up on my backlog. I need to get to Skatebird. I want to play Skatebird, so I think that's come to the front of my queue, for sure. And I've been watching Amber play through Stray, and so when she's wrapped up with it, I might play that. That's wicked cute. Oh my god, Stray is
so cute.
Stray is so freaking cute. That cat acts like a real proper cat, and it's hilarious. But yeah, there's just been a bunch of little weird small things on the backlog here that like I have installed. I keep meaning to play. Yeah. So I think I'll start digging into that unless I boot up something big like I probably won't play Final Fantasy VII, even though I did, I bought it during our JRPG episodes, and I'm I still need time away from JRPGs for a bit.
Yeah, same. Samesies.
So yeah.
All right. Well, I think that about does it for us. Thank you everybody for listening.
Yeah, and I hope y'all have fun playing some crazy, wacky, plastic accessoried games.
Give Babysitting Mama a Google.
Oh, God. Please don't.
No. Bye.